Greetings, peace. Let me jump right into this. I thought I liked these shapes, but don't they look like what they call like work glasses or something? They straight. I can pull it out. I don't really need them. Can't really tell. I'm not a huge fan. I can pretty much wear anything. But anywho, greetings, peace, greetings. Peace. The clarity, the awareness, the clarity. I don't even be wanting to promote stuff. You know I'm innovative. Look how I turn my head around. How you do that with locks? Because I'm innovative. I don't want to promote certain stuff. I really don't care. Boy, he innovative. Boy, he innovative. Boy, he innovative. Yeah, let me jump right into this though. Greetings to all. Let's give honor to the source of the creator, Most High, to making all this possible. Man, I'm having an interesting conversation. Great clarity today. What's that saying go? To whom is given, much is required. I had a great, y'all know how I feel about this sun. Having this great conversation today. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get some of the sun. Oh yeah, now the shade's really poking out. Yeah, so I'm getting this great clarity from just everything today. And I decided to express to my partner just insight. And it was I'm gonna be patient because I'm clever with the things that I get insight on, because it's almost like the conversations that you hold on, let me fix this. It's almost like the conversations you want to have. Basically, you gonna see what I'm talking about. This dialogue or this conversation is some people are afraid to say, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna speak on all levels. Shout out to people who do have the courage to speak and date outside of their culture and see beyond the surface of color, and then really be able to see the love within yourself and your partner. No matter what demographics, no matter what nationality they come from. A lot of people don't realize it takes a lot of courage to really talk about this shit, to share it, and to be honest with yourself at first. Let me first say this, did I ever think I would grow up and have children by a woman that did not look like me, or that was of a different shade or nationality? Absolutely not. But I will say I was always open-minded to other cultures. I was just a truth seeker, or someone who just I was very optimistic. That's something about me. I'm very optimistic, very outgoing, like to learn new things, because there's just so much to know or get to experience while you're here. And I'm trying to see how could I dive into this. Before that, me and my partner, we were just having an open dialogue about childhoods, and it hit me to where I realized a lot of us don't even realize how much, I'm pretty sure if you aren't familiar with it, a lot of us are seeking the very things we did not have in childhood. If you haven't heard it for the first time, if you have, then this is just confirmation. But also, outside of just the skin color, the deeper wounds or the deeper inner conflict or the inner world from where we come from, the awareness around just simply not receiving certain things we unconsciously or try to fight for or obtain in our adulthood in some type of way. So we were talking about something like that. I came across something, shout out to Yumi Genevieve, and she was speaking about how, if I'm correct, she was saying men are ruled by Mars, and the women are ruled by Venus. And she was also speaking about how, if you're into astrology, but again, this is just me connecting to something that I kind of reflected on, or brought me back to something that not just with my childhood but present day. And when she said how men are ruled by like the sun, or in a sense of like the not so much needing, but the awareness around them or us being empowered or feeling a sense of appreciation, like feeling to be seen. We all want to be seen or feel a sense of belonging. But she was also mentioning how women, gosh, what was it? It'll come to me. But that really stuck out to me because, you know how I speak about how like naturally women feel. And there was other things on there she discussed, and like I said, I wish I just like next time I'll write it down because it's just leading to what I'm saying. And we were talking about things like that, how um, you know, men being visual, not to say women are not, but typically practical, or I mean logical in their mind's eye to see things visually. Women, you know, naturally are in tune with their intuition and they feel. Then we got into something along down the lines like that really highlighting my patriarchal, highlighting me as a man, highlighting um let me see if I can find something. I do not want to hold this phone. Me highlighting the fact of you know, us leading into where we are today as adults, but reflecting on our childhood. So that being said, we got into I got into this trying to figure out what did she ask me. We were both we got into some conversation talking about like our caregivers or parents or whatever, and it was really highlighting like the point of how like seeing how their behavior is displayed when it comes to like them like reenacting perfect them reenacting like us living out similar things that they too probably have experienced, or we unconsciously don't realize like what we have been doing, and then where we were led to, and then just coming into our own awareness to even see how people act or how people were expressing themselves, how when you face, you know, do your inner work or shadow work or face your subconscious fears or fears in itself, and just seeing how it highlights a lot of how parent behavior where they did not choose to evolve from, and what you're left with, you know, to face in a way. So with that, we got into this dialogue of like, again, her, if you look at how the media or how society will view people, and this is just from this lens, on I speak on all levels. When you look at her, people say, oh, she's white, she's Caucasian, and they look at me, oh, he's black, African American. You know, we go deeper, I go deeper to nationality and certain things that people don't like to get into, you know, ancestrally and so forth. And then somehow I got to this dialogue with like really telling her like, if y'all could just one day, like, it's probably gonna happen, I already know it's gonna happen, like, if y'all could only realize the conversations I really had with her, and like, because what people don't realize is like, it's not even about it's not even about being privacy, it's just coming from the heart. What y'all don't even realize, like, there's nothing out there, especially when it comes to me as a darker man, and people don't realize the vices or the mindset, the courage that you have to have, that most people don't even realize when it comes to even having kids that are not your complexion, or what they call interracial. And even seeing it from my daughter's lens, how she's treated, from my partner's lens, even from me. And then it depends on who are you speaking to, their mindset, survival, and so forth, their age, their generation. When I mean there's so many, I'm talking about there can be millions of perspectives on even how people view someone's life from the outside looking in. So to even have the confidence to even speak about this says a lot for me, because I don't really give a fuck how people feel. And I don't care, because I realized like I was brought on this journey to have confidence to speak about the things that most people are afraid of. For one, a lot of you have no idea what it is to have children by somebody who don't look like you. A lot of you don't know, like, and I don't expect you to care because I really don't care if you care. Like, even know that perspective, even when you grown up in demographics where you are darker. So where am I getting at? I literally had a conversation with her and literally looked at her and told her, I said, the reason why I'm grateful and I admire you is because there are women that look like you. And this is what, and I have viewers, I have people, subscribers that are different nationalities, that this would probably shock you, you know, rock your world, even from people that are darker and lighter. This is a conversation that I have with her, even though she will again be perceived as a Caucasian woman in this country. I literally sat across from her, I was talking to her, I was like, listen, you don't even realize, like, because of your upbringing or because of, you know, what people call, you know, I tell you adjectives, white privileges or certain things. I've had conversations, uncomfortable conversations, things where we have debated, like really talked about the fact of like trying to get her to realize like my pain as just being a darker man, as just trying to be authentic, as in I'm telling her like, do you realize like, you know, and this is why I feel like a lot of us come into people's lives, like, do you realize like, can you see the lesson and the beauty and to accept who you are and not just the role, not even just the role, just the position that you're in, and how even coming from a different nationality, culture, and creed, how the divine can place you in something to even unify people when you're amongst the fear mongering and trying to be aware that there's a race war that's trying to be created. When you are assigned something where there is people who are wanting you to be against each other, when you are having the courage to even be a woman that look like you, to even try to build a mutual respect, a mutual bond, or even something genuine with darker women, because that's not naturally something that has always been and will always be. And the reason I say that is because 30, 40, 50 years ago, this wasn't always something. You know, literally having this conversation with her, I'm like, yeah. You know, one of our first trips was to Charleston, South Carolina, where there are signs still that are still big and bold that say interracial marriages was legal, such and such and such during this time. Where people across the world have no idea. Where you have people that were labeled mulatto, you have people that were, you know, pretty much unalive just because of the color of their skin, or even a lot of people that were outcasted. I was like, do you think this is new to people that look like me? No. But for women that look like you, there is a thing to where I'm expressing to her, for you to even have the courage right now that most women are afraid to do what you're doing, to even try to build something with women that are darker. And these women, I'm telling her, I said, I'm giving you something that most men won't give you. There are darker women that will view you as superior to them just because of their programming or just because of their woundedness. There are women out there that think that they are inferior to you and they don't even know why sometimes. There are women out there that, because of the betrayal from women that look like you, that are lighter, that sit in the room, that have built so-called businesses, so-called structures and everything to keep women that are darker, that don't look like you, in a place, stuck, stagnant, to prey on their childhood woundings. Women that look like you. So I'm telling her, like, you can't, like, I'm gonna tell you something real. Don't even expect all women, especially that are darker, that come from certain demographics, to even to even respect you as a woman. And even if they do, it's not even a mutual respect to where, or a real deep bond, because of their woundedness that you don't even see as a woman that is considered Caucasian or white. Again, what I just mentioned, these are the same women that look like you. I'm talking to my partner, that look like you, that sit back and watch what's happening and see what has happened to darker women for hundreds of years, or just for the last couple of years in itself, who are in certain hierarchies or certain places, who have signed papers, who have laid down with the husbands and the men that look like you and pretend and turn, their backs every day. These are women in their generations that have dealt with countless betrayals from women that look like you. These are the conversations I'm having with her. Let her know. People, you gotta realize, I said, and it's wild because women that look like you automatically just assume, because of the fear of confrontation or conflict avoidance, they literally don't even want to interact with women that are darker. And in their deep subconscious fear has a lot to do with even their own internal insecurities. They'll never admit it, because they literally are just, again, with the same men who have created these same neighborhoods and environments to keep women out that don't look like you. So then I'm telling her, you pretty much asking these women to just suppress and not be fucking angry. And not be angry. Come on now. You're telling them not to be angry. When you, and I'm telling her, you can come from daddy's money. You have had ancestors or people who have came into things with blood on their hands, blood on the money, and so forth. Proudly, happily, joyously. And then you're asking these women that are darker, who, again, have had people that look like them that betrayed them, men that look like them beat them, men that look like them who are wounded, to just cast them aside. So I tell people, don't you ever in your fucking mind believe that I don't ever have honest, authentic conversations, the most uncomfortable conversations, with a woman that don't look like me. And I'll do it repeatedly until they realize, like, y'all don't even realize, like, y'all have never been the solution. Not all of you, because I do know some of you. But it's just the one who sit back and you lay down with the same men who have signed orders, who have signed these things over just for you to eat and your kids to eat, and for women that don't look like you. And it ain't even just women who are white and Caucasian. Let me call out the women who consider themselves, I'm gonna use the term mulatto, or are of lighter shades and other nationalities. It's you too who feel like you have an upper hand. I've dated women just as that, who call themselves light-skinned, red-bone, who feel like they literally have this superiority to women that are darker because of what? They're more prettier. Make that make sense. That don't make you more valuable. I'll let you know now. Because I don't care how pretty someone looks on the outside. I've been around so many cultures and creeds that so many people are so ugly. Their inner world is so disrupted and ugly and so dismantled and so imbalanced. I'm telling my partner face to face, I'm saying, listen, and then it's the funny part, because she's experiencing something she never experienced before. Being around women that are darker more than she ever had. And you know what that does is it brings y'all, a lot of y'all never been in the fucking real world. You see, it's easy for a lot of y'all who have built communities to stay within your confined homes, your comfortable homes, and dang, it's something I wanted to say. Not safe haven, but I wrote it down too. What is it called? It'll come to me. But a lot of y'all y'all don't realize, like, the way karma is when people have the opportunity to go out there and be of service to people. Yes, a lot of you. I'm sitting here having conversations with her, like, yeah. You don't realize how deep some of y'all programming is, to where y'all so numb and you actually believe that a woman that don't look like you, because of the narrative that you have gotten from other people, and you choose not to even have compassion. I told my partner, that's what makes you different. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you who you are outside of your skin color, but it's still just to go in those environments and just to see how those women are interacting, just to see how those women who have been a part of a system who have kept them, like, not even stagnant, but kept them in a place of what literally created for them to feel so, like, not even human, or not even feel like they should exist. And you're choosing to do the opposite of that. Not the women who have sat back and literally kept up what y'all want to call white supremacy. It's a real thing. They sit back comfortably in their neighborhoods until someone moves in that's darker. And some of them really want to get along with people like that, but then their husbands behind the scenes despise it because they're insecure and they're jealous. I've seen it too many times before. And I told her, I said, for you to go in there, I said, listen, you pretty, or you got, I tell her real shit, like, you don't realize in the last couple 100 years how colorism, how self-hatred was built upon a woman that looked like you. Pretty, blue eyes, or whatever it is, or, you know, just mainly a Caucasian woman, or a woman that looks like a certain way. You were the epitome of, you know, you reflect the America image of what a woman is. And not to mention, I said, you're going to have women that look at me and think like, well, how dare he try to protect her? How dare he? Giving her real, authentic shit. Like, they going to always judge from the outside looking in, but never know the deepness of what you're assigned to do, what you're aligned to do, what your purpose and mission is. I said, you're going to have so many women want to be like, they want to have nothing to do with you. Truthfully. They want you to be where they are, or more so, some women purposely, and I get it. They don't want to support or have nothing to do with you because of the focus being so much of, you know, this image of a woman that looks like you, a Caucasian woman being upheld as if they're superior than all women. Not to mention a certain religious figure and certain things that don't look like people, that don't reflect nothing empowering. Give her the real and raw. I don't care who I was with. Because what this comes down to, like I was expressing to her, when you look at women, women naturally reflect, shout out to Yumi for sharing this, their energy is of that of Saturn, which are lessons. You know, things karmically, learning lessons, because women hold that wisdom, because they are the wisdom holders, the gatekeepers from the physical, from the spiritual to the physical realm, life that comes in. And with that, they are naturally connected to the family, the matriarchal, everything. Give a fuck what y'all don't got from these other distorted ass patriarchal figures and people who have been brought into this world by woundedness and still try to uphold woundedness through their false empowerment of the patriarchal aspect, in which is being dismantled as we speak. So again, the beauty of that, now what was it, family and things ancestrally. So a lot of you, and I be sitting here giving y'all stuff, like, when a man that's in tune in his awareness when it comes to things like this, what you have seen, that women that are darker, and then women of lighter shades, all women, is that I can honestly say, but I'm not speaking for everyone. When I say people want other people's life, but they don't see the depths of that, when I can see how women that are darker want the life of a woman who has things materialistically, but I know it's deeper than that. When I know some darker women, they want nothing more to live a life that is peaceful, harmonious, where they don't have to want for nothing, when it ain't even just finances. But when you see what they have been given systematically, and how they have been just trying to get a break, but then you see women, again, for women that are who realize they're just as part. When I be telling y'all about the matriarchal, how important it is, I'm calling out I have so much compassion for women that are darker. But at the same time, don't you ever think I won't ever hold women that are of a lighter shade, especially if you want to call them Caucasian in this country. Like, what? A spiritual ass whooping at that. Because once they really start to learn about their ancestry, once they start to really learn about what their family have upheld, and how they don't have a sense of compassion, how they numb themselves, how they literally have created shit to disconnect themselves from other women, especially darker women, how can you say you serve a God that in the so-called word it says we are all made in the image of the Creator? So outside of color, on a deeper spiritual level, how can you say that you are a woman of integrity, a woman of truth and love, of honesty, when you know what's been going on? I tell my partner that all the time. I tell people, this is deeper than what y'all be thinking about color and stuff like that. I said, listen, you have been the woman that, you know, this has never been told to you. Because you literally have had a family who try to protect that image. That's why some people don't want you dating men that are darker. Because guess what it will do? It will taint the image that people have upheld when it comes to them just wanting people that look like them in their lineage. Boom, drops mic. There's no difference in darker people. I've experienced the same shit. With my mother and them, they are not just as accepting when it comes to a daughter that don't look like them and that is darker. Y'all don't know the pain. Y'all don't know what I feel when it comes to that. Because a lot of you, from your perspective, oh, he like white girl, he like this, he like that. Let me tell you something. It wouldn't matter who I talked to or I dated. Some women don't even want to evolve and heal. It goes that deep. Some of y'all don't even, I was telling my partner, some of y'all don't even care the fact of how deep it goes. Some of y'all don't even want to evolve and heal and rise out of your animalistic behavior where you just keep popping out babies. That goes for anybody, any culture. To where you don't even realize that what are you setting up as well? What are you facing internally to heal so that your daughters don't gotta keep that going through their lineage as well, through the men that they connect with? Because again, that Saturn energy, that matriarchal and feminine and masculine aspect, through your actions, y'all keep saying, oh, I care about our men, I care about the, you know, and even with people that are lighter, oh, you know, I have such and such friends and black. No, you don't. A lot of y'all families and y'all lineage reflect the same hatred that y'all try to hide and mask that cannot be masked anymore. A lot of y'all literally, again, people don't know what people go through on a daily basis. The courage, the confidence that I have to have just as a man. That's why I speak about things from a darker man, from a lens of a darker man, but at the same time relating to all men. Shout out to the men who have dated outside their cultures and creeds and so forth, just to find a fucking sense of peace. And I don't mean in that person, it's just simply because that what people don't realize is like, you're coming from a place of dealing with women have been so wounded, who have spoken to you so disrespectfully, who don't even value. They say they care about you and love you, but they don't even, they have their father wounds so deep that they don't even value their sons, let alone respect the father. So how you going to eventually grow to respect the son that you gave birth to that will become a father? That's what pisses me off about darker women. Not all of you. I know some very valuable women who knows, who have done the healing, or who just are, who didn't have to go through experiences like that. So again, and then I also know women who are of a lighter shade, who have the utmost respect. But I also know some who are of a lighter shade, who really don't care, who really just want men just, you know, because they got jungle fever, or just because they're darker, or just because their penis and stuff like that. Let's be real. I'm going to be honest. But a lot of y'all don't realize it's deeper than that on a spiritual and soul level, ancestrally, because that's what women reflect. That Saturn energy, they reflect everything ancestral, everything that's built upon family and tribe and love. That's why I always get on the matriarchal. So for a lot of you, that conversation I would have with my partner, I bring it here, and I also would say it in front of a lot of you. Y'all be wanting men, but you won't get me because I know a lot where a lot of you coming from. I told y'all before, I talk to women who have, and this is how deep it goes, who literally have had women who had babies by other men that would look like them, and deep down they have a self-hatred for, a mother wound, or hatred for people that are darker. They don't even know why, or pretty much that's been their father, grandmother, and great grandmother down their lineage, their belief system. And then until they realize, like, wow, they really want to start to be with darker men. Then I've asked them, like, why now? Because this is the thing I would advise even men that are darker, or when you do get into things like that, when you do come from different demographics, even religious or spiritual beliefs and so forth, that is a challenge to go through, because there will be a lot of judgment, there will be a lot of criticism, because my deeper roots, and when I look at my children that are considered interracial, they're coming from two different lineages. They're coming from two different demographics, two different diasporas, or whatever you want to call it. That word just came up. Or just two different, and it's true, because ancestrally, or just when you diving into nationalities, they're coming from two different worlds. And a lot of people don't realize, when you're dealing with people or having kids by darker men, let me make this very clear. This is why I stopped. Like, I told myself, like, what makes someone, my partner, unique is that someone is open to learning, but also realizing, like, I had to tell her, like, listen, you may have dated or been with other darker men, but I'm completely different. And the reason I say that, what makes me so unique, is because I care to learn and to dive in deeper into my ancestry, until I learn more about facing wounds, facing healing, so that I can be the one to not just enjoy this life and have fun with my kids, because there's so much emphasis on men, and we don't realize this as men, to where society has teaches us to go out there and work. And I feel like the most important part is to where we focus so much on our self-obligations, and that has a lot to do with what we did not receive as little boys in our childhood, because of, depending on your demographic, your childhood traumas and wounds. I almost got lost in that, because of, I was more focused on my own self-obligations, me receiving certain things, which is still important, but remembering more of why the woman is so sacred and important, because she bears the kids and so forth, nurtures and so forth, and we need that reminder to be a child, to be childlike, to have fun. And that's what I feel like a lot of men miss out, because I don't care what career, what kind of status they have and so forth, a lot of what they do, which naturally we do, we're ruled by the sun or just Mars, so that's assertiveness and action, and also ego. But there's a healthiness to ego, and then a wounded ego. And that's what I realized that I became aware of, where wounded ego for me in the perspective could look like this self-righteous person, or just obtaining all these accolades or whatever, in the sense of just wanting the world to view them as this godlike aspect, or just this praise me. And no. A healthy ego for me is like to big up myself, to be confident, to be like, acceptance of what I've done and how far I've come, but at the same time learning to use that and also create a life around fun. That's the beauty of a balance between masculine and feminine. And again, from the wounded aspect of the masculine, being that the wounded feminine has given birth to that, reflects the matriarchal first, because the mother gives birth and the mother is the first teacher. So a lot of us as men, we have missed out on what we were supposed to do as a little boy. And so I had to accept, like, that's why I said before, I owe it to myself now. I owe it to myself to recover those things that men in my lineage never done, which is still have fun. Simplest things like doing things in childhood. I skate, I play basketball, I paint. Those little things are like recovering the fragmentations, or reminding me of the childhood, of, not so much getting praise from it, but being, keeping that part of me nurtured. That's where we mother and father ourselves. Then also the importance of having a partner in people, because I had to remind my partner and tell people, a lot of y'all don't know a lot of y'all don't even know what fun is, because you grew up around parents, and depending on, I'll use someone for example, they grew up around a father who was overprotective, and they were a little girl. So, you know, I can see the father being from a wounded lens, not really knowing who he was because he was wounded as a, like, had a wounded ego, and also mother wounds. So his overprotectiveness, you know, there was a disconnect emotionally, which has a lot to do with, you know, us balancing between the emotions and the logical. So how that look for a woman or a little girl growing up, it's almost like that emotional disconnects from the father to the daughter doesn't allow the father to implement things where he can express his emotions, or even have that deeper connection which we all have emotionally, to be able to express himself in different emotions. And most importantly, if he has a mother wound, he doesn't really know what joy is. So he masks himself, which you see a lot of men in their careers, I don't care where they are. They mask themselves through their careers, through their endeavors. And what they don't talk about is how they mask themselves through their wounded ego. And, you know, because of their childhood traumas, or because they unconsciously didn't know. So a lot of their fear is failure of um, being in a position where they cannot be self-sufficient, or being in that hierarchy position where, again, where the wound, where the ego is praised, where they don't receive that acknowledgement. Again, men reflect the sun, meaning that we thrive in a way off that reminder of appreciation, or, you know, knowing that we are valuable. And when you look at society, where you see in certain demographics um, where the man was displaced, then you have women being more masculine from a wounded place. You know, their behaviors or their actions, because they've had to carry the load not for themselves but ancestrally and generationally, and then doing the same thing mama did, and then, you know, kids and so forth, never getting a chance to feel. And then here are some of the fathers displaced, never really having that emotional balance, so they're numb. And so then you see young men model after them, they're numb, and so they don't have compassion, so they're going out there doing shit with no sense of awareness, no sense of compassion, empathy, and so forth. And the music fuels it. So again, when you have this happening with a lot of men who grow into these spaces where they perceive themselves as thriving, which really they still have a survival mentality even when they have obtained all this money, because a lot of their fears is to not have it. Or, you know, they obtain these things from a survival mentality. I'm not knocking anyone's progression or what they have gotten into or what they obtain, but a lot of them don't know that a lot of them have done it through survival and their mentality and so forth. So with that, no one has never told them. So they're still playing this, what's up? They're still having this role, they don't even know unconsciously, of being a provider, protector, when they're when they're in this NBAs or NFLs or whatever that brings them a large sum of some type of money and finances. But there's still an underlying disconnect of emotions there, because of a father, or, you know, maybe a father wound or resentment, or a mother wound, let's say. And so with that, um, um, they never been told this. They don't even realize they've been part of a society or a business or a corporation that has fueled the very thing that, it's not to knock their success, but on a deeper level, they never been told this. They were only geared to just get in position, do this, or else, you know, or, you know, your family, this can happen, or, you know, so many things, to where, again, I know a lot of dudes having to play the role of a father to their mother unconsciously, they don't even know it, or a father to their sisters. You know, they don't even realize that's a mother wound. So again, going back to, even with you know, for a single father to raise a daughter, you know, I've known of someone to see how, when she didn't have matriarchal figures in her life, how emotionally disconnected she was. So how that can show up in a wounded masculine is that they don't have a sense of empathy as they say they do for men. so they can find themselves people pleasing, or even if it's a father wound, they'll be operating so much in their masculinity in their careers and so forth, obtain certain things without really caring to have really support emotionally and sometimes physically. So they don't realize that they're living out something similar, how it would show up differently, like what a mother went through, just because they were raised by a father. But that just that emotional disconnect, or not having a woman there to show them the nurturing, the importance of family, and when you have a family, you know how to build upon that, how to you know, seeing that, how to not be so much logical on your approach, but you know, balance it between emotion. And so depending on what has happened, when you see in a lot of demographics right now, is that why I can see that from so many different lenses. You know, back to what I was telling my, you know, my partner, I was like, you know, just your image alone is embedded in some women's head that are darker. And you know, they automatically, they don't even realize, like, sometimes they'll treat you differently, but they don't even have respect for themselves. Y'all see how deep that shit goes psychologically? They will go, and I know some women that are darker, they'll go into the workplace or somewhere, and just because of how embedded they have this Caucasian or white person in their head to be superior, they'll disrespect the fuck out. Like, imagine it, they have so much respect for a religious figure that don't look like them. They'll pray to them and everything. This is the psychological warfare. And they'll have the utmost respect for women that don't look like them, and men that don't look like them. Going to the workspaces, they'll change their voices. I've seen this shit happen. I've seen women that are darker change their voices just to obtain a position. Y'all don't realize how deep wounded it is, to where people have been been almost like under a spell, or psychologically so wounded, to where they literally will change their speaking, their attire, their way, anything geared away from them, their authentic self, or being, you know, their essence, to literally to adjust. I didn't say adapt, to adjust, to literally create a false identity, to literally create a false identity around what someone else feel they should be in this fucking world, in this world that don't belong to nobody. So I'm telling her, like, sometimes they'll look at you, they'll come to you, but go home and disrespect the fuck out of their sons, out of the women in their family, have no respect, and that only reflects within themselves. And it's no different for, I say, for a woman that look like you, who don't have a sense of, well, some women that don't have a sense of compassion, whether they're labeled white and so forth, and literally have built around and take pride in a white supremacy, or, you know, using that term, or even a community, take so much pride in keeping themselves from kids, keeping themselves from people that are darker, but dread, or just like when they go into a community setting where there are darker kids, won't have no type of interaction with the mothers. The most you'll see is hey, or, you know, and it literally highlights their insecurities, but their kids will play together. Y'all make that make fucking sense. Y'all don't think that's disgusting? Y'all human beings, bro. Y'all, like, y'all don't see that, like, what? And we all have an inner child that wants to simply play. Y'all don't even realize what we have been doing to these kids. I gotta go because people talk a little bit. But and so it's funny because I see it all the time. I see it all the time, and when I say, like, it's no difference from people that come from a different country that are like Indian, and they are of lighter shade, but you go over there, they people that darker. But you gonna realize how so much mainstream media have literally kept people in this fucking loop of believing like darker people aren't all over the world. I told someone the other day, like, when I grew up in the South, I had no idea that there was people that were lighter than me. Because that's how much people, because that's the thing we don't realize when we were a child. That's all we knew was what we were around. Y'all don't realize how some of us, this goes back to like how a single father that's wounded or a man that's wounded will be so overprotective to where he will shelter. I knew someone who said they were so sheltered to where when they grow up and they start to like experience the world, yo, they're in disbelief. It's just like I knew people who were homeschooled. Y'all don't realize there's so many different perspectives on this shit. I knew someone that was so sheltered to where you're talking about kids that were so sheltered. You're talking about kids that never seen darker people, that go to these universities and these girls are admired. They're in awe when they see a darker man. I'm not mad at that. It's no difference. Like I told you, I grew up in certain areas where I just thought it was darker people. Then I grew up and went to middle school, and all of a sudden I started seeing, I don't like to call people Mexican or Hispanic. I can call them Aztecs or Olmecs, whatever. Red people that are lighter shade. You see what I'm getting at. I had people that was a part of gangs like that too. When it comes to people that were, if you want to call them Hispanic, I just respected people not to call them whatever it is they didn't want to call, because it's just what it was. I didn't know until we went to middle school. I'm like, where do these fucking people come from? I just thought the world was darker. Do y'all not realize that? My world, my universe growing up as a child, I thought that was it. I thought, as a child, we don't realize, we think mom, dad, and the family is just it. And y'all don't realize, like, bro, this is the beauty of the multiverse. Your universe, your world, and when you go connect with other people, there are other worlds beyond you. That's what makes it so amazing. So when my partner and I connected and certain things start happening, she had no idea. Because you got to realize some people have dated people that are darker or of different shades, but they don't go to the depths. They don't learn more about like the fact of, because it's taboo to them when it comes to, you got some people that are a lighter shade that they are so ashamed and guilt to even tell the person that they want to date. I had someone tell me how many racist things or, things that her father said about, her even dating people that were darker. And deep down, you can tell the interactions, or, people don't even want to have a part of that and so forth. And people really keep themselves from living and enjoying life and having joy and literally having fun or creating memories with people because of your fucking mothers and fathers' belief systems. Are y'all kidding me? That's one thing I have learned to I won't ever deprive myself from an experience, from traveling, from experiencing life. When it came to modeling, basketball, art, all these things, your gifts are here to merge and be a bridge to other people. Your kids are here to do the same thing after you. That's why I have those honest conversations with my partner. I was like, yo, some of y'all will meet people and the way your path is aligned is because you are here to unify in your own way. You are here to union, you and I. You are here to reconnect with yourself, with your essence. Through that karmic or even wild relationships, or even if it's so deep to where you don't even realize, like, well, why did I come to do this? Why am I here? What am I doing? And once you grasp that and you will realize, like, for example, even my partner and I, like, it becomes more and more clear why we realize, like, the beauty of why we were assigned to have our kids. We don't nobody else got to believe it or accept it. But I realize from even people who do have kids that are interracial and so forth, the shit that they don't have conversations about, I be talking about. I love it, because I know a lot of them have so many deep insecurities. A lot of them have been rejected by family. A lot of them, their kids are mistreated or misused or outcasted or, called prettier. That fucking bug on my nose. Prettier just because. We hear that all the time. Your kids are so beautiful. But I remind my princess that your beauty comes from within. This shit fades. All of this fades. That's what y'all not realize. That's why I don't get caught up in, oh, who's more beautiful. Beauty really is in the eye of the beholder. Ain't nobody child more beautiful than the next. There's no such thing. Teaching your kids stuff that don't have no substance and fucking value. You literally have built communities where, oh, this community over here has more money, or this community over here is more upkept, but deep down, them motherfuckers are the most insecure people in the world. They're the most guarded and sheltered. They also have mother wounds and father wounds. They also are going through shit that they never would talk to you about, but they hide behind their big ass houses. Not all of them, but they hide behind stuff. Y'all don't realize all that shit is just a mask. All of it. All of it. They would love to be a part of your experience. They would love to realize, like, man, how could I get in that cookout, buddy? Or, you know, some people are darker too. Man, I love to go in that community, bro, just to see the house. I do it all the time because it's confidence. Because ain't nobody gonna trick me out of my position. I came here to be experienced and experience life. And it's beautiful to be able to see through the lens of other people why they act the way they act. Why they act the way they act. I ain't mad. I can really see why my mom and them, I was like, whoa, maybe I'm here to meet this woman and we have kids, and all of a sudden it brings up all the insecurities around what has transpired over the years and why how darker women feel the way they feel. And I tell my partner, they're entitled to feel the way they feel. Shit, they haven't had room to feel like you have. They haven't been given the resources like you have in certain demographics. Wouldn't you be frustrated if you were treated like that? If you was paraded through the media like that, like all of you are like that? Wouldn't you be pissed? Isn't that defamation of character? When I look at the US, when I look at the media, I would encourage people. I just got that insight. I call karmic justice, divine justice on all the nations. I don't care if you're dark, I don't care what shade you are. All y'all, look, your judgment is here for defamation of character. Universally, spiritually. Because isn't that what that is? You're telling me, you're parading me on the media and everywhere else as what? A criminal, as less than a human or devaluable? And that's not true. So I call your bluff. I call all of you bluffs. All of your bluffs. That's the beauty of this shit. Don't let nobody trick you out your position. I will honestly say, all of y'all are in judgment. All the nations and people who will play their hand in that shit. That's defamation of character. And y'all judgment is here. That's what everybody is getting. That's what karma. Karma shows up as people, baby. We all are karma. I'm walking karma. Lessons. And I'm walking dharma. Whoever ready to experience it. I'm walking karma. Some of you are too. Once you start standing in your truth, you'll realize that when you're honest with yourself, you're walking karma for people. They can't even hide who the fuck they is no more. They can't even hide. The heart don't lie. My shit sideways. It don't even matter. Folk can't even hide themselves no more. Because the inner child, all that shit that's within them is going to be purged. Y'all about to see eventually during these transits, everything that's happening, how much people are all for self. All y'all, I don't care if you don't billionaire, I don't care about none of that shit, status and stuff. All of y'all about to be exposed. And the collective and the people are going to rise and see exactly who you've been. Yeah, it's a wrap. I don't care what shade you are. All of y'all been. It's just what it is. Shout out to Lauren Hill. If you block me, you block the message. Listen, I don't care what status you are. Everyone came here for lessons, for karma, to experience life. Stay away from me if you're trying to find any reason not to get along or just enjoy life with people. Let alone if you just some vampire or you just sent to just snoop and whatever you do. But anywho, yeah, I gotta realize, man, you came here to experience life, to be experienced through love, from love, and return to love. What is this really about? What are we arguing over? What are we fighting over? They really got y'all believing that y'all fighting over who live here, who got the most of this. Can't take none of that shit with you. Ain't no U-Haul behind the hearse. It really, it's ignorant to see people really over here don't realize, like, y'all insecurity is so loud. You know how many spaces I've been in just with my fucking presence? And people will say, they're deep down, they don't even have to say a word. Your energy, spiritual currency, wherever you go. They don't like you? Why not? Who cares? They're not supposed to. They ain't never seen nothing like you. They ain't never felt nothing like you. They ain't never experienced nothing like you. And it only reflects them. They don't have to like you. That reflects them. They don't have to love you. That reflects them, the love that they don't have for you, themselves. They don't have to like you. They don't like something about themselves. What are we teaching our youth? Huh? Come on, man. Y'all take care of yourself. I'm telling you. Authenticity. You can't buy it. You can't put a number on that. You can't put a number on integrity. Peace and blessings. Shalom.